That hearing at the Capitol and today saying that I recognize that MnDOT and that our numbers have not been what we want them to be, and that we're committed to changing them. And that is why we've made these efforts through the collaborative and so forth. But just to try and quickly address these questions that have come up. One was about bridge workers and maintenance folks at MnDOT staff. We actually have a significant group of bridge workers on MnDOT staff. When that tragic event, the bridge collapse occurred, it identified some gaps that we had, and we've increased our staffing and our equipment to accommodate the additional need that we've identified. So that is happening. To the question of there's the 6% participation over the years, and are there not enough minority companies? I think that there are minority companies. I think, though, that the skills may or may not be in the right spot, but as importantly, this is a complex process. You need to know how to go to electric bids. You need to know how to do a plan and so forth. And we're working on those to try and grow the pools of DBEs and trained workforce. And that, if I run through this list, which I won't do right now, the projects we've identified, you'll see that they address those things. I agree with the comment that silos prevent us from taking real action on issues, and that's why we pulled that collaborative together. How do we begin to build capacity? I think that's similar to the last one. I do want to touch, though, on the institutional racism at MnDOT. And I want to talk a little bit, very briefly, about some of our history of hiring of late. If you look at MnDOT as a whole, we have a 7% minority population. We have 4,500 employees. 7% of them are minorities. 21% are women. Remember, that includes the whole state. If we look at central office, for example, which is St. Paul, we've got 12% minority and 35% female. Okay, are those perfect? No, they aren't perfect. But one of the things, too, that if you look at MnDOT's demographic, you'll see that many of our employees have 15, 20, 25 years, 30 years, and more of service. And so I think there wasn't as much of a commitment on diversity in the past. Let me tell you a little bit about what has happened recently at MnDOT. Our last hiring in MnDOT Metro Maintenance, which is where, in MnDOT, most of our population is maintenance workers, and that does provide a very sound life job. 65 maintenance workers hired, 17 of those were minority folks. On top of that, though, we identified 12 people who did not pass through the interview, acknowledging the fact that some folks just are not good at interviews. We brought 12 people on board, 11 of which are still working for MnDOT, and we've worked to train them and get them. Right now, we are just bringing on 14 new people down in Rochester. 36% of those are minorities. And what my point is as we're, and one other thing, we talked at the hearing about our graduate engineers, which was another comment that came up. We need people that have positions of some authority. And, oh boy, just give me 30 or 2 seconds here. We have about, as I recall, 37%, of course I can't find it, I can pick it up in a minute, but we have about 37% of our grad engineers are minorities, of some, either women or minority, and that's of, the engineering jobs in the department. So I think that's good too.
Okay, let's get some more folks in here, Ray.
Keith, before you do that, real quick, Bernie, could you give me a breakdown of the ethnicity of those minorities?
Sure. I don't have it for the Metro Maintenance. I do have it for the 14 in Rochester. 1 Hispanic female, 1 Hispanic male, 3 African Americans out of the 14. Of those 12, I'm not going to speculate on the other ones, but I can get that for you. Thank you.
Okay, Ray.
Raymond, it seems that there's an initial obstacle for getting into a state-awarded contract, and that is previous experience and scope. And so what that means is if you haven't done a project of that size previously, the chances of you getting it are almost non-existent. Is MnDOT or other areas of the state looked at developing programs that actually partner up people that don't have previous experience of that size, so that they're able to get that experience of that size. And if not, there really needs to be a problem that begins to merge smaller minority and women contractors and partner them with larger contractors so that they can get the experience, so that they can meet the requirements.
20 seconds, Spirit, good job.
Okay. My name is Robert Wu, the president of the National Black MBA Association. The question I have, we all know information is power. And my question is to Bernie, do you have a media strategy in terms of, are you spending enough money to spread the information across to make sure people are actually getting the information? Because some of the things I'm hearing today, this is the first time I'm hearing it, and I'm really shocked. Any thoughts?
Good question. Media strategy. Okay, I'm trolling. You know I'm gonna come back and go do this. All right. Okay. Over here.
Right here.
Regarding applications themselves, are you looking specifically at truck driving jobs, or are you looking at any kind of occupation within the industry itself? Consider computer programmers, analysts, data storage companies, those kind of things that can work with DOT. We happen to have cloud services, we back ourselves up in 5 continents. We're able to take any number of documents, archive them, and save them for 5 years or perpetually. DOT requires 30 months to 5 years on the logs for the truck drivers, and so we have a program for that as well. So that's one of the things that you might want to consider looking at as well.
Okay, time to Spirit. Thank you. We're looking for folks who wants to talk, who wants the mic.
I'm Lenny Chisholm. You referenced me a couple of times up there. One of the things that I went over to MnDOT back in December, and I'll admit I was as mad as I could get, because I knew I was paying 8.5 cent gas tax, and there should be jobs. It was long before they came in with the ready shovel-ready projects. And once I got to looking into it, I found that we only had 2 DBEs located in North Minneapolis. One of them was Vince Brown Trucking, and the other one was Les Hall Landscaping. And I knew for a fact that we had to have more capacity. And I hear the word capacity being used, but capacity to go after the jobs. And I said, well, tell me what we need. They gave me a big application. And anybody's welcome to look at this application. And once I looked at the application, I said, there's not too many people I know who can fill this out. And I said, what can we do to fill this application out? And I said, we need a project just to fill out the application to become a DBE. And with that, I said, give me the opportunity to help people get through the DBE application, and they did.
That's a start.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vincent Brown. Vincent Brown Trucking, we do construction, roll-off, and bobcat service. I am one of the DBEs in North Minneapolis. And one of the things that I find being the most compelling thing of being a DBE, or just being a business in general, is that I can't compete with a multi-million-dollar company. I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I don't have, the marketing, sales, anything. So I believe that if you're going to have a program and it's not going to be set up for failure, that you have to mobilize and, put different companies together to be able to help that small company to go to the next level. This has been a very, very rough year for me. I don't know if I'll be able to even go to the next year. So I think that is something that should be sought out.
Thank you. All right.